I've been a casual fan of Yu-Gi-Oh for a long time. I've seen a bit of the anime here and there and kinda played the card game growing up along with some of the Game Boy Advance games. But I never really spent a whole lot of time in it until the late 2010s, mostly because that's when Duel Links came out, so I tried that for a good while, and I also played quite a bit of Legacy of the Duelist. And at some point, I've also started looking at and played a little bit of the GOAT era decks, along with some of the Edison decks, which really helped me kickstart my interest for the card game again. And here I am with a whole lot of time spent and a whole lot of money spent on Yu-Gi-Oh, and that includes Master Duel, at least with the time bought. And the main reason I want to try Master Duel is just because it's a free-to-play Yu-Gi-Oh simulator, and I thought it would have been fun for a while. And boy, to me, it's quite fun. So with that, I'd say let's just get into the topic of the video. And one of the things I actually ended up enjoying was the single player content. It's basically a bunch of matches against AI, but with different archetypes. I think it's a nice test run for them since you do get loner decks. Along with some of the rewards for them, you gain your own cards from that archetype, so I guess it can help kickstart your own deck. It can also give you some nice low on the card as well, which I don't really think it's given much else though, so that's nice. You can also use your own deck against the AI, which I think it can be a decent way to test some cards before you take into ranked matches. And on the decks, I actually think there's a lot of nice customization here. There's over 10,000 cards, which is pretty great. I've seen a good amount of varied decks when it comes to playing online, both in ranked and against friends, and while it doesn't have every single card, you still have a ton of options to make top tier decks or really gimmicky decks, of course within the ban list. And while some decks might be played more than others, since of course every competitive game naturally just has better stuff in it, there's nothing stopping you from trying out new decks and new cards, since with the total amount of cards in the game, a card released back in 2008 can still be good with whatever cards released today. I also really like the graphics for the game. I think it looks great. Fields, cards, and every aspect of it just looks really colorful and lively, which is good for what is just a card game. The visual flair of the game is also nice with all the summon animations and all the other small effects here and there. And I also think the online connection, just playing matches online, is really good. And I think almost every match I played was just flawless and smooth with almost no connection issues, so that's really good considering the fact that this game is mostly meant to be played online. Also, I think the events so far are pretty fun, that being the XYZ Festival and the Normal and Rare Festival. They basically limit your decks in various ways. For the normal and rare event, they are just depending on the card's rarity. I like stuff like this since you have to be more creative with how you build decks, since you don't have access to all the best cards. And while of course having options is nice, and again the total amount of cards in the game is massive, I just think that restrictions can bring out even more cooler decks if it's done right, like these events. And honestly, I think that this game really helped me be more interested in Yu-Gi-Oh by a whole ton. The game is super fun to me regardless of what format I'm playing, but even with the game being super fun, there's still some aspects I just don't really like and I wish got changed. And one of them is just how much the online is lacking with its features, and it's really odd to me. One thing I kinda don't like that isn't here is side decking, which for Yu-Gi-Oh can be pretty big. For those who don't know what it is, a side deck is a pool of 15 cards you can change into your main deck after a round to help deal with any cards your opponent could have. It has a decent amount of depth, and I kinda wish it was in ranked matches and lobbies, just because you can side deck if your opponent has a bunch of negates, so you can just deal with that. I also don't like how there isn't just random casual matches here. It's only ranked matches and lobby matches, and well, yeah, you can just go into lobbies and join matches there and not worry about your rank. I just don't see why we can't just have a random option here. It also does suck to me that the single player content is kinda lackluster. While they have added a few new gates here and there, I wish there was a bit more other kind of content, for example having different duelist challenges similar to games like Legacy of the Duelist. That's where you face a certain NPC while they use a certain deck, and maybe you can have some options you can use certain pre-made decks from a list and then use that to duel them. I also wish other challenges came back, like having to win in a single turn with certain cards out, because I found that pretty fun in other games. The single player content here isn't bad, and Konami has added a few more gates, so I do think they could probably add more single player content, but again, it's just I wish there was more kind. Another aspect I really also didn't like is how there was just a single ban list in the game, which kind of sucks to me. And I understand that the ban list is probably going to change. I just kind of wish that maybe we had a few ban lists, OCG ban list, a TCG ban list, and maybe a few others you can play GOAT format in this one, or you can play Edison format in this one, stuff like that. And I kind of wish it was like that, just because that way say if you wanted to play a different like era of Yu-Gi-Oh, you just have the option to make a deck under that ban list, and you just don't have to play whatever the game says. Oh yeah, these cards are limited, these cards are banned, and stuff like that. And I just think, again, having more options here would also be pretty nice. But I still think there's a ton of fun to have with Yugioh Master Duel, but at some point it just feels kind of samey. I still feel that Konami will most likely change a lot of the stuff in the game, like the ban list, since, I feel that the single player content probably isn't really going to change all that much. Since at the core, Yu-Gi-Oh still is a competitive game, so I feel that's probably the top priority. That I don't mind all that much, since I like facing others, even if I do get curb stomp. But I also really want to hear what you guys end up liking and disliking about Master Duel. Let me know in the comments below. And of course, before the video ends, I'll go over my own likes and dislikes. Likes: alright single player content, nice customization for deck building, good graphics, playing online is almost flawless, and fun events. Dislikes: missing some online features and just, features in general for dueling, not a lot of single player modes, and only one type of ban list and rule set. Thank you all for watching, and don't forget to like, comment, sub, and follow my Twitter, which is in the description below, and I will see you guys later.